Hello everyone, and welcome back to today's analysis. As for today's episode, we are going to discuss about Puss in Boots, one of the secondary protagonists of the Shrek franchise and the titular main protagonist of his own animated film franchise. And an iconic character in his own right, Puss in Boots is definitely one of the most fascinating characters I ever met in animation. Especially for the fact that he has managed to evolve from a very arrogant, overconfident legend who believed himself to be immortal into an actual good person who learned to be there for his friends and started to cherish his life. And in this episode, we are going to discuss all that we know about him throughout both the Shrek films, 2, 3, and 4, and the Puss in Boots 1 and 2, to better understand Puss in Boots and how and why he is this way to begin with. And now, let's begin. The one that we call Puss in Boots has been officially, born somewhere, and he has been abandoned for some reason by his birth parents, where he ended up at an orphanage in San Ricardo, where he was raised out there primarily by its owner, pretty much like a mother to him. And out there, he met his own best friend, known as Humpty Dumpty, when they both became best friends, and they both wanted to find the magic beans in order to reach the heavens to find the golden goose, as according to the legend. But of course, unfortunately, all of this kind of backfired as they were entered into conflict with the authorities and led to Puss and to become an outlaw. And Humpty Dumpty unfortunately was put in prison, much against his own will. And so, from this moment on, the legend of Puss in Boots was officially born, and he became one of the most famous people in both his hometown as well as in far, far away. As now, the first time we see him, he has been hired by King Harold and by the fairy godmother to get rid of Shrek, so her son can be with Fiona. But thankfully, Puss changed his mind and decided to help Shrek, and together they managed to actually to defeat the fairy godmother. On Puss in Boots has officially come to help Shrek and Donkey in order to find Arthur Pendragon so he can take over the throne, while as well as entering conflict with Prince Charming, who staged a revolution against them, but as well as having his body switched with Donkey by accident. But thankfully, that problem was officially fixed later on, and they managed to win. And now we see into an alternate timeline created by Rumpelstiltskin in the fourth Shrek film, where unfortunately he managed to take over far, far away, and Puss in Boots has unfortunately became Puss in Fats. But thankfully, Shrek managed to fix this timeline and everything went back to normal. But after the events of the Shrek franchise were done, so far, Puss have returned back to his hometown of San Ricardo, where he has met both Kitty Softpaws, which he has fallen in love with, and his old friend Humpty Dumpty, and both of them raced against both Jack and Jill in finding the magic beans to go to take the golden goose. But unfortunately, it's revealed eventually that Humpty betrayed him and split him up with Jack and Jill in order to officially take revenge on Puss for causing him to be in prison. But thankfully, he and Humpty made amends and managed to save the town from the gigantic goose. And now Puss officially entered into a relationship with Kitty Softpaws, but unfortunately, this didn't end it very well. And unfortunately, due to his very brave lifestyle, and he ended up losing 8 out of his own 9 lives, as he has been repeatedly killed in the most hilarious and most ridiculous ways. And unfortunately, now that he's on his ninth and the last life, Puss has come into conflict with none other than death itself, the Grim Reaper, who vowed to kill Puss as revenge for wasting 8 out of his 9 lives, causing Puss to officially race in finding the wishing star so he can wish for more lives, going alongside with Kitty Softpaws and Perito, while racing against Goldilocks and the Three Bears, who wanted to find her biological family, and Big Jack Horner, who wanted to win, and the Baker's Dozen, who wanted to wish for all the magic in the world. And now, before we continue, we need to stop and ask ourselves, is Puss a good person? And I put this question because of the fact that while Puss in Boots definitely is a good person, I mean, overall, and does care for his friends, he's shown to be a very arrogant, very reckless, and very overconfident for the fact that he believes himself to be invincible. But at the end, Puss is definitely a good person who just believes that he can do everything on his own, and he cares for his friends, and eventually learned to open his heart and did come to cherish his life, even the one life that he still has. And thus, at the end, the answer is ultimately yes. Puss is a good person and managed to learn from his mistakes. And in the end, he managed to triumph over everyone. He confronted death, and death let him go after he finally saw Puss to be worthy, and he finally defeated Big Jack Horner and managed to save the world from him. And now Puss, Kitty, and Perito managed to go on with their adventures, and he simply goes on his own life. So in the end, who is Puss in Boots? He's nothing more but a simple entity who found himself into a life of crime, of adventure, and a life of a fugitive. A person that will grow into an overconfident, arrogant little legend that believes himself to be eternal and only to have the reality to smack it back at him. And by far one of the most iconic characters ever made into animation. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe and have a nice day.